Let's continue. Yesterday we mentioned, of course, the Indian and the idea of Asara B'Teves. Today, Be'ez Hashem, I just want to go through some of the halachas that are negaya to a tiny shechal liyois be'erev Shabbos Kodesh. What happens if you have a fast on Erev Shabbos? Of course, we know that it's not really lechatchila for a person to fast on Erev Shabbos. Why? To walk into Shabbos Kodesh, where the tinus is definitely not something that we should ever makabel on ourselves. However, of course, over here, as we mentioned, this is something that obviously Chazal were masaken, and it is a fast day, which we mentioned yesterday, is a very important fast day. It's a very important day specifically to daven, as we mentioned yesterday, for Naidigich Sam Soifa, our tefillahs, to Be'ez Hashem, to bring the Geula, to bring Mashiach, to bring the Beis HaMikdash. We could do tremendous things on Asar B'Teves, which is why we mentioned yesterday, according to the Avudram, even though it doesn't ever happen, but theoretically, if it would fall on Shabbos, we would fast on Shabbos. So that's how chomor tomorrow's fast is. It's not stam, it's a very important day, it's a choshev day, it's a sad day, but it's a day, as the Rambam tells us, is meant to be utilized to think about our life, to think about where we're heading, and to try maybe and do tshuva, and go back to the Rabbeinu Shalom, and go back to the ways that we're meant to be going into. So, that is generally the halacha and when it comes to an Erev Shabbos. Now, Lemaisa, when it comes to the halachas of a fast day, pretty much, with some exceptions, which we'll mention, the halachas are very much the same. Which means, basically, the Shulchan Aruch in Tovkuf Samach Dalet tells us that, for example, tonight, when you go to sleep, you are being makabel the tainus. That's the metzias. Which would mean, if you wake up in the middle of the night tonight, so 3 o'clock in the morning, you all of a sudden wake up and you're like, hey, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. We're about 2 hours before Alois. The fast hasn't begun yet. The fast begins around 5:05, whatever it is. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, let's chop a bowl of cereal. The halachas are not allowed. Why? Because when you go to sleep tonight, Thursday night, obviously we're talking about going to sleep for the night, you've been makabel your fast. And therefore to wake up in the middle of the night and eat something is not allowed unless you have that in mind. If you go to sleep tonight having in mind, if I wake up before Alois, I'll eat something, then you will be permitted to eat something. Okay? Number one. Number two, the Ramah says, drinking is ki'ilu you always had in mind. So, halacha l'maisa, tonight, you go to sleep, you wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, you're like, oh, 4:30 in the morning, let's chaparine, a few glasses of water. The halacha is, you are allowed, even if you did not have it in mind. Why? Because drinking is something you always do when you wake up, and therefore there's no problem whatsoever, and even if you're makabel your fast tonight, you are allowed to drink in the middle of the night. Of course, note, and you should look at the luach, what time is Alois? If I'm not mistaken, it's around 5:05, which means after 5:05, you should not be eating and drinking. So the regular halachas in that, by the way, for those of you that are knowing the Zayah Kodesh, excuse me, the Magen Avraham brings the Zayah Kodesh that says you should already start fasting by Chatzois. Already by Chatzois you should already be fasting. But again, it's a Zayah Kodesh. Those people that are knowing Zayah Kodesh maybe, but otherwise the rest of Klal Yisrael start by Alois HaShacha. So those are the regular halachas of every fast day. Included in that. Let's move on. Now, on Erev Shabbos, what are the differences? So first of all, the tefillahs by Shachris are the same, which means there's going to be regular slichas, there's going to be Avinu Malkeinu, there's going to be Tachnun, there's going to be Kriyas HaTorah. That is the regular Shachris that we have on a Tainus, which exactly the same applies to an Erev Shabbos as well. There's no difference because it's Erev Shabbos, except of course by Mincha. Mincha of Erev Shabbos, which we will be davening much earlier than normal regular Erev Shabbos, to make sure we finish on time and the Olam can go, is that Mincha over here is also Kriyas HaTorah, is also Haftorah, is Anenu and Birchas Kahanim, Heilige Birchas Kahanim, that we've been learning about so much. So we'll be having that Be'ez Hashem right before Shabbos Kodesh. There will not be Avinu Malkeinu. Why? Because it's Erev Shabbos Kodesh, and obviously no Tachnan, because it's Erev Shabbos. So those are the differences in regards to that. Now, Hachana to Shabbos Kodesh, we know that Avada, there's a Gavoisa mitzvah for a person to have a shower. On Erev Shabbos Kodesh, it's a mitzvah to have a shower every day. But on Erev Shabbos Kodesh, even better, Erev Shabbos Kodesh, beautiful. Now, the problem is that there's halacha, which is brought down, that you're not meant to have a hot shower on a tainis, on a fast day, right? It's different than Hagim, the Shulchan Aruch brings it up in the Beisos to the Bach, whatever. We're not going into the Indian right now, but the general halacha is a hot shower on a tainis is something that should not generally be done. That's the minig. However, of course, on Erev Shabbos Kodesh, you can have a regular hot shower in the way you generally normally do, because it is Erev Shabbos in that case, the same way as a person has a haircut. Haircuts also, Shaila Shulchan Aruch brings about whether you have on a tainis, you can have a haircut, you can shave also on Erev Shabbos this week, even though it's a tainis. In that case, the same thing as cutting your nails and things like that, L'Kavod Shabbos Kodesh, there is no problem with that as well. Now, tasting food, Shulchan Aruch Tovkov Samach Zayin brings down what is the halacha when it comes to tasting food on a fast day. So Shulchan Aruch says, Lamaisa, as long as you don't swallow the food and you're just putting it on your tongue to see if there's enough salt, just to taste it before Shabbos Kodesh, the Shulchan Aruch Lamaisa, except obviously Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av, obviously not, but every other fast day except for Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av, Shulchan Aruch says you can be mekel. The Ramah actually is machmeh, and the Ramah says you should be machmeh in every tainis in that case over there, which is why, generally speaking, unless there's a big tzorich for Shabbos food or whatever, you should try to be machmeh and not taste the food Erev Shabbos. Again, we're not talking about swallowing it, that's always going to be asa, we're just talking about tasting it in that case. Brushing your teeth. Once again, brushing your teeth on a regular fast day is like rinsing out your mouth, which is not allowed. However, the Mishnah Berurah brings, the Minchas Yisroch has a beautiful tshuva on this, that he writes, but tzorich b'shas atchat gadol, b'shas tzorich, if a person can't go into Shabbos with bad breath, he can't go into Kabbalah Shabbos, he wants to sing l'chunu ran, he wants to go to all the vote, and he knows that with his mouth is not rinsed, he hasn't brushed his teeth, he's not going to have a good davening. He won't be able to daven mincha. He won't be able to sit next to anybody. He won't be able to talk to anybody. Whatever. So if that's the case, and there's a tzorich, then there is a mocker to make Erev Shabbos to brush your teeth, because for sheitzach you can't do it on Shabbos because you can't use a toothbrush. Surprise, surprise, because there's a shaila of schita, and of course the toothpaste is a shaila b'machik. So everyone knows that you can't brush your teeth on Shabbos Kodesh. This everyone knows. So therefore you can't do it on Shabbos Kodesh. On Erev Shabbos, if it's a tzorich, then a person can brush his teeth on the fast. Obviously, making sure he puts his head forward to make sure that he does not swallow any of the liquid. At the end of the fast, you can be Makabel Shabbos whenever you want, obviously after plug, but that doesn't mean you can eat. Oh, it's Shabbos now, I can now eat. That's not how it works. It works by Tzesek Achavim, works by Nacht, and therefore at the end of the day, that is what you do. So many communities, including Yeshiva over here, is going to daven much earlier than we normally daven to make sure we have enough time for a normal mincha, a normal Kabbalah Shabbos. It's Kabbalah Shabbos. We don't want to lack our Kabbalah Shabbos just because of a tainis. And Ma'ariv, of course, with enough time that everybody can get to the Sudas and not have to wait too long and not delay anyone or delay themselves. So therefore we do start earlier, but that doesn't mean that you can make Kiddush earlier. Kiddush has to be made by Nacht. Again, you can make Kiddush early, but there would be a problem of eating. So obviously it's not going to help you. You can make Kiddush early when you make Ali Shabbos on a regular situation, but here making Kiddush early will not help you to break your fast. You break your fast by Kiddush. Remember, if you do daven early and you say Kriya Shema before Nacht by Ma'ariv, make sure you repeat Kriya Shema. It's a Doraisa, and therefore you must make sure to repeat Kriya Shema. There are shitas that say that generally we sing Zmiris. Those of you that are joining us for the Thursday night Zmiris share tonight, we're up to Kol Mekadosh Be'ez Hashem. But Al Kaponim, Eishes Chayil and Shalom Aleichem are normally said before Kiddush. If it's late and the kids and the guests and whatever, there's definitely a mokaim to skip Eishes Chayil and Shalom Aleichem and do it afterwards. You do it afterwards when everyone's wagua, when everyone's calm, and you sing it over there. It works. Ilan, it works. I can guarantee. It definitely works. You don't have to skip it. You can do it before. But again, Tirud Tzibura. If you have the oilam waiting, then you're okay. I remember, by the way, was it last year or the year before? It was last year that we had the same thing? Yeah. I remember a beautiful Kabbalah Shabbos here. Do you remember this? It was a beautiful Kabbalah Shabbos. We thought it was going to be like 1, 2, 3. I remember it being a beautiful Kabbalah Shabbos. No, Ilan, you don't remember? I remember it being beautiful. That time and when all the lights went out. That was the other time. When all the lights went out, we had candles going on. When did you have Kabbalah Shabbos with candlelight? It was unbelievable. It was one of the best Kabbalah Shabbos ever. It was absolutely beautiful. Anyway, moving on, Rabbi Sai. So the fast begins at Alois 5:05. It ends when you hear Kiddush. That is the halacha. And of course, we have to remember that it is a very important fast. Let me just mention one last thing as well. To mourn the Beis Hamikdash is very hard. And this fast, like most other fasts, is about Churban Beis Hamikdash. And it's really, really hard for us to mourn something that we don't know, we don't understand, we never saw, we can't picture. It doesn't mean that much to us. But if Chazal are being Masak and they're instituting a fast day for Churban Beis HaMikdash, it means that we do have the obligation and the ability to actually mourn the Beis HaMikdash. Perhaps, as I said yesterday, we should spend a few moments of thinking what it's like without Mashiach, what it's like without the Geula, what it's like in this bitter Golus, so that perhaps maybe then, we'll generate some feelings of wanting Mashiach, of dreaming for it, of waiting for it, anticipating for it, which is very important. The Chofetz Chaim once said, famous Yisoid, Chofetz Chaim once said that the Beis Halevi was once called to become the Rav of Brisk, and he refused. He said, no, I'm not interested. I don't want to take Rabbonis, the Mishnah Pirkei Avos. I don't want to do it. I'm not taking Rabbonis. They told the Beis Halevi that there are 30,000 Yidden in Brisk who are waiting for you to accept to become the Rav. And he said, there are 30,000 Yidden that are waiting? Okay, I can't keep the waiting, I'm going. So the Heilige Chofetz Chaim, if Mashiach feels and senses that all of Klal Yisrael are be'emes waiting for him, then there's no way that he's going to delay and he's going to come and it will be the end of all of the tzoros and all the pain that Klal Yisrael is going through. Remember the Yavitz from Yaakov Emden, the Yavitz brings down in the Siddur, Il Mola Lahoya Ela Ovin Zebi Yadenu, Shei Misabel Al Yishalayim, Kiroi, Dailo La'arik Uloseinu. Says the Maisa, the Yavitz, that if the one Aveira that is prolonging our Golus is the Aveira that we're not Misabel Al Yerushalayim. We're not thinking about the fact that we don't have a Beis HaMikdash. The whole year it's taka hard. Maybe we don't say Al Naris Baba for benching. Maybe we find a heta when we go to the Koisel to not rip our shirt by giving it to somebody else so we don't have to rip our shirt. All the Ateirim to not do anything to do with the Beis HaMikdash when it comes to, during the year. But Efsha, at least on a fast day, at least on a day that represents Churban Beis HaMikdash, let's spend a few minutes and be Beis Hashem Rabbi Sai. We should all be Zoicha to have to not go into the fast. It will be a day of Sosan v'Simcha, a day of Gavaldig Yontav Beis Hashem. We'll have the Beis HaMikdash, B'siyata D'Shmaya. Have a wonderful day.